This is Air America Radio. I'm Marty Kaplan. So far this hour, we've talked existentialism and human addictions. Combine the two, and you've got the essence of Elaine Stritch. The Broadway actress is a notorious recovering alcoholic, but that didn't stop the folks at the Television Academy from giving her an Emmy this year. It was for her title performance in Elaine Stritch at Liberty, and I had the extreme pleasure of talking with her last spring, right before it premiered on HBO.
How are you?
I'm so thrilled to be talking to you.
Well, thank you very much. I can't say...
You can't say the same.
Because I don't know who the hell you are.
Exactly. No, I'm just a guy who was in the audience in the original cast of Company, and you changed my life when you did
Oh, my God, you saw Company. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, and The Ladies Who Lunch was one of those defining moments of the Broadway theater, and little did I know at that moment where it stood in your life, too. It was, in many ways, a kind of comeback, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that's the most ridiculous word in the world. Just because an artist takes a little rest, it means out of sight, out of mind. And so they right away attach failure to that, which I think is ridiculous. I was off in summer stock doing Auntie Mame, would you believe it?
Right.
It was a tour, and I played both Mame and Vera, which is a great Judy Garland story. Well, Judy Garland and I were talking one night about stuff and things and lifting a few at the same time. And Judy Garland said she had a wonderful idea for us to work together, and I said, what? She said, she had one of the greatest senses of humor of all time. And she said, why don't we do a tour, Elaine, of Annie Mame? And when you want to get loaded, you go out. I'll do Mame. And when I want to get loaded... No, I've got the story so backwards you can't believe it. It was my idea, not Judy's. And I said, why don't we go out on tour? And when I want to go out, like on Tuesday night, then you do, the next night's performance,
right.
And vice versa. So we'll complement each other. And I'll play Mame. And then when you want to have a good time, and when I want to have a good time, you play Vera. So she took a long pause, Marty, and then she said, okay. And then she said, what about matinee day? I fell off the chair. Isn't that great?
Oh, it's a great story.
Yeah, she wanted to cover all the bases, taking no chances. But anyway, that was a fun up story by way of saying, I think maybe my imbibing sort of got in the way, without my even knowing it. I never jeopardized a performance because of booze. I was always there. But when producers start putting a lot of money behind you, and you're going to play a big important part in a show, they are not apt to take any chances at all.
Now, it's ironic, of course, that in The Ladies Who Lunch, the refrain is "I'll drink to that."
Oh yeah, well that's a little that has 1,000 different meanings. So if we go into the song, we'll be going into a discussion of a three-act play, because I always say that Steve Sondheim's Ladies Who Lunch is like a three-act play.
Huh.
It's so loaded, if you'll pardon the pun. It's a sad song. It's an instructive song. It's an emotional song. It's a very, very deep song. It's a great song.
Well, that's probably...
And I was a lucky gal to get a hold of it. And it was the one time that I thought Steve Sondheim really approved of my work. He was thrilled to death with the way I interpreted it, and he still gives me notes on it. But I would say that that's why I disappeared. Not disappeared, I was doing summer stock and, having a ball.
Yeah.
And then finally, Hal Prince called, and he said this part was so right for me, and Hal Prince believed in me, and apparently so did Steve Sondheim. So the more talented the human being is, the more faith they have in other talented human beings. For instance, I drank. I drank before performances, never more than 2, as I say in my show, and I mean it, because I wouldn't jeopardize my performance. The other thing I've always thought to myself, I always look like I'm having the time of my life.
Right.
I may not be, but I always look like I am, and behind that is a great deal of problems. But I don't want to bore anybody with my problems, so I come on strong in the humor department, and since I have been off the sauce, as they say, I gave myself a chance to do some serious thinking, as opposed to serious drinking.